Hey everyone, and welcome back to Master Your Life Beyond the Boardroom. I'm your podcast host, Luke Beastall, and I have, let's just put it this way, an interesting guest that's probably going to get you thinking, what's this going to be about? I'm going to introduce him just in a second. His name is Paul. He is the husband to Abby, who's been on previously, who's got a tie-dye brand. So if you haven't listened to that episode already, make sure you do listen to it. So Paul is a singer and songwriter, but he has also changed his life around through medicinal cannabis. Now, we're going to be talking about this and how it's turned his life around from battling with Crohn's for now 17 years. He went down the traditional route, but now has found an answer to his problems that, has dramatically shifted his life in so many ways. But what he also is going to be talking about, which I think is really good from a business and human perspective, mainly, is how he's managed to be away from any social media and build an oversubscribed business. He's booked up in gigs all in his local area and has done that through human connection alone, which I think will be really interesting to see how he's done that and what that's all about. So without me babbling on and just taking this any further, Paul, I'd like to welcome you to the podcast today, buddy. Yeah, well, obviously, just before we even go into the conversation, something that you shared, and I think it'd be nice for sort of the listeners or the viewers watching this, is how you had said that, you was like, Luke, I have tried to go in more the singer, songwriter, musician space to go on a podcast to share my story and about the, the medicinal cannabis. But like you said, nobody was accepting you on this show to talk about it.
No, nobody really. I mean, I've had no replies. I mean, I can't even say I've had something to say. Thanks for getting in touch, but we're not interested. I've had no replies. But I've mentioned in everyone, I'm a medical cannabis user and how it's changed my life. So it's like when you say that, they just don't want to talk about it anymore. So
yes. So in your, yeah, well, yeah, except yeah. I mean, listen, I think guys who've listened into these episodes up to date and followed the show for some time know that I don't sort of put anyone in a corner and not let them sort of share, especially if they've got a story that has transformed their life, which obviously we're going to get into. But just from your own perspective, what do you think is, like, these people that are turning you away, or they're not even getting back to you anyway, what do you think the reason is that they're not open to have somebody like on your show? Because it's different. It's interesting.
I don't know. People don't want to talk about alternative medicine, It's a taboo subject, isn't it? And it's crazy because cannabis has been legal in the UK since 2018, 7 years. It's legal in the UK for many different conditions as well, not just Crohn, which is what we're going to talk about today, a plethora of different conditions. So there should be no stigma attached as far as I'm concerned now, but there obviously still is.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, well, like you say, that there's a bit of a sort of answer for you, that like these people who you're trying to share your story with for more awareness, for say, hey guys, there is alternative, like you say, alternative ways out there to deal with conditions, or just instantly sort of shutting it down and not giving you the space and opportunity to share. Well, we're going to delve deep into it, but just tell us a little bit about, just so people can understand your business. We'll go into the personal aspect as well, but your business side. So you're a singer and songwriter. How long have you been doing that for?
I've been doing it since 2013, not to the level that I'm doing it now, but that was the first time I performed out and about, basically took my guitar into a pub and said, can I sing some songs?
Right.
Open mics. Spent about a year playing any open mic that was in my local area. I would go out nearly every day just to get stage time, really. I'd played guitar since I was 8 years old, and so I was 30, first time I actually played out and about. So it was a lot of time playing guitar, but just to myself, just in my bedroom all those years. And I'd written songs from being 8 years old as well. And then I started doing buskers nights for about a year. And then I got my first booking through a pub I was playing an open mic at night in. And it went from there, really. But now I'm up to the level where I don't need to really look for work. The work comes in, I'm having to turn it away. I have residencies. I'm selling my own music via Spotify, iTunes, whatever. And things are good.
So this is brilliant to hear this. So obviously you've done it since a very young age. You've obviously sort of climbed up the ladder of, having that, I guess, that confidence. I mean, obviously to start doing it at 30 years old. But again, if we sort of go, So even if we just sort of match these up so people understand, just a brief, obviously we're going to go deeper on this. So you started your busking, you're singing at 2013. When was you diagnosed with Crohn's?
Right, I was diagnosed in 2008.
So 5 years in that gap before you decided to
Yes.
go into this space, right? Okay, so what was you doing? What was you doing before then?
I had a cleaning business.
Right.
So yeah, I had a cleaning business. Although that doesn't really tell the story very well. I split up with my first wife and got quite stressed by it all because she stopped me seeing the kids, and that's what got me into basically making music and cannabis at the same time. Cannabis because I couldn't sleep, and making music because I needed something to take my mind off not seeing my kids. Really, that's what got us into singing music because I thought I can do this. And the first time I did it, I thought this takes my mind off everything, any stresses in my life. I can just, for that however long I'm on the stage, I can forget about that and just channel my energy into something else. So that's how it all
Yeah.
came about.
Right. So there you go. So music was sort of therapy for you then, in a way.
Very much so, yeah.
Okay. And then when did it come to you that this could be a business for you? That actually people would pay you to sing?
Working for people that ran open mic nights,
Right.
they're rich and I'm not, and I'm standing up here and I'm getting a free pint to play for maybe 30, 40 minutes. I
Okay.
know, I got the experience and I served my time by doing that, which so it really helped. I wasn't making any money. And I just thought, this is crazy because I'm out singing songs every night. I should be making something out of it.
Yeah.
Just watching everybody around me, really seeing how the business worked. What songs you need to be singing to make money. If you sing Irish songs, you can make a fortune in St. Patrick's weekend, things like that. Just watching everybody around me thinking, right, what's the best way to approach this?
This is great because what I'm taking from it anyway, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, is that you've done a lot of groundwork, right? You've done a lot of stuff for free. Yeah, you got a pint, but what I mean is you put yourself out there, you put your talent on the line,
Yeah.
and you was thinking, looking at what everybody else is doing, can something come of this? Can you remember when you got your first paid gig and what it was?
I do remember because I had to have an operation on my bowel of Crohn's in December 2013, and I got my first paid gig 3 months after that. Once I was back on my feet, and it was in a bar where I was playing an open mic every now and again. And he said, "Look, when you've had your operation, come back here. We'll pay you to sing for the whole night because you come to our open mic all the time." And
Brilliant.
I bought a PA system on the back of that, basically thinking, right, well, this is the start. I'm going to hit the big time. And yeah, so it was like 3 months after my first operation, and went from there. Really, never looked back until lockdown. Really, that was it.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, that was obviously a tough period. I'm sure we might delve a little bit into that. But this is great, though. But I mean, your resilience, your hard work ethic, how you obviously managed to land your first paying gig from a place that you'd done most of your open mic nights with. So obviously they would have been watching you and thinking, we ain't paying this guy a single penny. And obviously, yeah, he's having a pint from it, but he's good, he's talented, he's committed, he keeps showing up. And then that reward sort of, yeah, that dedication, that I think obviously, and again, even at that time when you was showing up for them open nights, you was battling with Crohn's. So
yeah, the whole time. Yeah.
Which obviously I think for me, and I'm sure people listening in and watching this will be the biggest question is, how did you do it? Tell us a little bit about that. So when it first come about and.
Right, first thing I did was I bought a radar key on eBay for £3 for the disabled toilets.
Oh God.
Very, very beneficial if you're going to sing in pubs in the town or at any city centre because toilets are disgusting. So yeah, I bought a radar key for the toilets. That helped. Took a lot of the stress out of it.
I bet.
Worked out where the toilets were in every venue before I played. And just dosed myself up with codeine or steroids or whatever I was on at the time, and just kind of just being a fog in my head the whole time I was out, which isn't ideal when you're trying to remember lyrics and chords and
Yeah.
entertain, and give stage presence. It was difficult.
So for you, it came back in 2008. Was you with Abby at the time? Was it or?
Me and Abby
No.
have been together since 2018, so I was with my first wife
Right.
at the time.
Yeah. So I mean, how did this? I mean, we'll go deep on this, Paul, because I think obviously, first of all, even just if anybody in this sort of room listening in with us are not too sure what Crohn's is, could you just share more about that for us?
Crohn's is an autoimmune condition affecting the small bowel. Colitis, which is very similar, affects primarily the large bowel. I think it can affect anywhere, but Crohn's is in the small bowel. And you can have ulcers or inflammation from the gullet to the anus, basically. So anywhere through. Causes cramps, severe diarrhea, sickness, B12 deficiency, all kinds of things that come along with it. Generally, I'm
Yeah.
racked with pain all day.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's like even the other way when you can't go to the toilet or anything, it hits your mood. But I guess the other way when it's constantly coming out, all your minerals and all
You,
your your vitamins in your body, your blood, it's just all coming out your system, right?
the best way to describe it is that nothing's being digested really, so it doesn't matter what you're putting in, even if you're putting in, really good stuff all the time, like doing the diet that I assume you have.
Yeah.
Make any difference, it would just all come through.
So I mean, look, I mean, people could be painting pictures in their mind now, thinking, how many times would you go to the bathroom per day? Then what was that like? I'm sure you just couldn't go anywhere, could you?
20 to 30, no problem. I've always often thought about buying shares in Andrex because,
Yeah,
yeah, we use
I
it like
know.
quite a lot in this house. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, but I mean, we can obviously laugh about it and stuff, but for a lot of people, this would have, and I'm sure it did for you as well, like a mental health impact. It may be, in your mind, obviously having a cleaning business before, maybe you thought, I don't know, did you think like, what do I do with my life now? Did you sort of feel that in any way?
I mean, the music was always running alongside the cleaning business at the time.
Right.
And then I split up from the relationship that I was in, and we ran the cleaning business together. Then music kind of took over, and it wasn't really until lockdown, really, that when I came back after lockdown, music was it. There was no cleaning. There was no, I've got little bits of business doing cleaning. It was music, and from lockdown, everything just took off, and I started using agents. Yeah, and my life completely changed from that point, really, and it was just everything was focused on music from there, really.
Yeah. And this is brilliant. So obviously you sort of left the cleaning business. So that period of COVID, then what did that sort of teach you as a lesson to be right? I'm all in on this music business.
It taught me that I didn't realize that I used music for therapy as much until
Okay.
I didn't sing anymore, and I didn't sing for 15 months.
Yeah.
I sing in a duo as well with a guy Steve who plays fiddle and mandolin, and we write music together as well. And we went out to a gig on the Friday night in March, just before St Patrick's Day. I remember talking about, it looks like the whole country's going to be locked down. What's going to happen and all that? And I was like, oh, it'll be fine. We'll still be singing. They'll still want people to gig. And then it was 15 months until we did another gig. And it was just, I didn't know what to do. I didn't pick the guitar up. I didn't even pick it up in the house because I don't know, they were kind of depressed about it, I suppose. I just didn't realise how important singing the songs out and about was to me, and how I, was it.
Yeah. Yeah. So what did you do through that period then when you didn't have the music?
Read a lot of books, became a tie dyer.
Oh, you did. That was it. Yeah. You was
We did,
helping
yeah.
Abby
I
out,
mean,
right? Yeah.
that was when it all changed for Abby as well, basically, and so I was her gopher, basically. I did all the bits and bobs for her, and that business took off from there. Really, it couldn't have happened had I been doing the gigs that I do now.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Dived into that like we did, but yeah, that was what happened through lockdown for us. And I never picked up a guitar for the whole period. Just
Yeah.
couldn't face looking at a guitar. It was strange. I can't really explain it. I was like, just
Yeah.
on the guitar. I was like, no, I can't even look at you.
Yeah, that's what. So obviously you got that feeling of when you was out there in front of I guess, a real audience, and then obviously bopping the heads and singing along and all that stuff. What would you say like music means to you?
It's like an addiction. It is. It's just you can't describe the feeling you get when you've got a whole room singing back to you, and dancing around. You can't describe that feeling. That's what you hope from every gig. Obviously, every gig isn't like that. sometimes you pay for two people in the corner of a room.
Of course.
You never know, it's not like they're paying to come and see you, you're providing the entertainment for however long people are there. But yeah, it's like an addiction. You can't get enough of it. And I always wanted to. I've always written songs since I was a child. I always wanted to be able to sing my own songs to other people. And I know I'm not in the charts or anything like that. I don't walk down the street and people know my name. But I sing my own songs at my gigs. I sell my own music. So I'm pretty much at exactly the place in life that I always wanted to be.
That's brilliant.
Bar, multi-stardom fame sort of thing. I'm content. I'm singing my songs to people and doing what I want to do. We have a good life here. We're happy because of it, because we have spare time, because we work unsociable hours. So you have a lot of time, a lot of spare time to enjoy spare time.
Yeah, I do know. I think it's refreshing as well to sort of hear your perspective on it, and just you can tell as well though, Paul, just the passion behind the music. You can obviously people can sing, like be tribute bands and all that stuff, but obviously for you it meant. I'm not saying it don't mean anything to the other people that do that, but for you, obviously writing your own music and then being able to have that freedom to sing your own music, there's more to it. Like it's got a bit more meaning and depth, I believe.
But on the local circuit, I know so many really good musicians that write their own music but will not perform them at their paid gigs.
Why?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one, to be honest. And whenever
what would you think though? What would you think? Honestly,
nerves,
right? What fear of like rejection?
yeah.
Right. Okay. So how do you push past that then for you to sing your own music? Have you felt that feeling similar before? Like, oh, maybe I shouldn't sing my music, or
You get a very thick skin from singing in pubs where you never know who you're going to meet. Or busting on the streets, you never know who you're going to meet and what they're going to say to you.
Okay.
So eventually you become desensitized to it. Like anybody that does a profession over and over, you just get used to it. And I thought, well, that's what, when I was doing open mic nights, I would sing covers because that's what gets a pub to book you, or they sing covers that we want. But I always, even if I only had like a 30-minute set, I would always like chop and change between my own originals and covers. And it's just kind of been the thing that I've always done. And me and Steve now do the same, like probably a third of the 245 minutes of sets is original music, but we're paid as covers acts in the bars or the venues. I like to think that's, I've done something good there because nobody else is.
Yeah, that is well. Like I say, you're leading from the front. If there are people, like say, you're an authoritative figure. If anyone's out there, like you say, the local people who's really great singers, to them to turn around and say, listen, you can sing your own music. You're a proof of that you can do it.
I mean, people keep saying, your songs like fit in really well to your set. So I don't plan it that way. It just so happens that people think they do run smoothly. I can play an Oasis cover and then one of mine and then an Irish song and they all just run fine.
Yeah.
It's not like they went, oh God, he's playing one of his own ones here, get him back to covers. That never happened.
Get you. Yeah, it blends in and people just listen to it and enjoy it. So just from these experiences, I love the element where you said you've had to build a thick skin and obviously you don't know who you're going to perform in front of.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a moment that you can recall on as an experience when you've been in a pub and you felt like, it's horrible, like they're calling your names, or have you had any sort of resistance like that?
Oh, I mean, I have been heckled in the past. I'm not going to say that I haven't,
No, yeah, sure.
I'm pretty good with an audience, I would like to think. I'm quite quick-witted and I can fire something back at them and I don't get
Yeah.
But generally, we've got door staff and security wherever we play, so you're safe, you just goes over your head. You think, I'm getting paid, you didn't come here to see me play. My job is to hopefully get you doing like what I'm doing, but it's not the be all and end all, You can't put everybody in a bar every time.
No. I agree with that. I think I just love the sort of way that you're sharing that though, in terms of, look, I'm not here to please everybody. I'll just, I'm doing it anyway. I enjoy it. It's my passion. You'll love it or you won't. It's sort of that sort of thing, really. Because I think what it is I'm just going into the belief system of a lot of people, and we're not even just talking about music here, but in business, they may have to go out there and expose themselves because you've got to go out and do a test, right? Like you're testing your music to an audience, right? But they won't do it because they're fearing it. They're fearing that maybe trolling, as you could call it, whatever, or calling you a name and not being able to stay. But for you, it's like, well, you've got to kind of accept, you had it, but you've built that sort of thick skin after receiving that. You're like, it's part of it.
Yeah. It comes down to lockdown again. Actually, we're talking about that. Like when I came back after lockdown, as I say, 15 months of not doing any singing, I realised that before that I wanted everybody to like me. Everybody that I sang to, I would get really upset if somebody said anything, or
Right.
or people didn't clap. When I came back, I sort of thought, I'm here for me more than you, really, and
Yeah.
I don't really care what you think anymore. And it was biggest change, really.
Yeah.
Is getting rid of social media, as we talked about before we started this recording as well, happened at the same time. And I was always comparing myself to other musicians, my friends and local musicians, always looking at what they were doing and not thinking about what I was doing. And then, say, lockdown happened, I came back, and I thought, no, it's me. I'm doing what I want for me. I love to perform, and I want to take this further. And I don't care what other people are doing. Great for them, but this is my thing. And it really changed everything from there on in.
Yeah. So okay, then this is good. We'll sort of go back a little bit on that, because that was so good what you shared there. What just from those actions that you had taken from lockdown and then going back into the world of, singing your music in pubs and busking and all that stuff, what was the biggest change? Like, what has helped you the most?
The biggest change was when just before lockdown happened, I was preparing to book and supply music for a National Trust venue in our local area. And I've been running an event there for a few years, and this was obviously the spring that lockdown happened. And I'd had a meeting with them, and I was the amount of work I was going to get off them was going to not even double, triple probably. I was going to make a lot of money out of this contract. But that was the thing. There wasn't a contract. It was just a face-to-face, like sort of
Yes.
gentleman's agreement.
Yep.
Lockdown came on, and it all disappeared. And I'd kind of hedged all my bets on that and thought, oh, I don't really need to look for other gigs because this is going to be my thing for the season, and then I'll worry from Christmas, to the gigs in there. And that all went. So I had to think, right, well, what am I going to do to get these gigs now? A lot of places have closed that I used to play. Certain people have just left the music business. I didn't know the same people, and I talked to an old agent who I played some open nights for and done the odd paid gig. And he offered me a load of work straight away, and it took off from there. Really, I used another guy, and through that, when you start playing gigs for agents and you get into good places, people come up and say, "Oh, can you do my birthday party? See my wedding or Christmas or bar mitzvah, whatever." Like everybody.
Yeah.
Or come and play in my garden at summer. That happens a lot. Like I do a lot of house party gigs, things like that.
That's good.
And so that's all independent work, and it all comes in just through, making those contacts through the agent. So you're not taking his work from him. They're booking for them venues, but you're meeting the public through those good gigs. And it's all about talking to the audience, really. Obviously, I don't do social media, so all of my promotion is done face to face in bars every day, every week.
Yeah. So this is really good then. Obviously,
That's
you'd
abnormal
spoken.
for 2025, I suppose. Everybody does everything on social media.
I
Nobody wants to
know.
talk in person to you these days.
Yeah. No. You're right. This is why I was like really interested in this when, well, you actually shared it before we started recording this episode about actually, I don't have social media anymore for that reason of I was comparing myself to other artists, what they was doing,
I didn't realize I was. I didn't realize I was until I came away from that. And as time's gone on, I've just realized I don't need that. I still find out exactly what all me, close friends are doing, and whoever I need to know about, I hear about it, like because they phone me or they text me, because they know I don't do social media and don't get to hear about it. So we have a proper conversation about what's happening in their lives,
Yeah.
like the old days.
Yeah, no, listen, I mean, it is tough. I mean, just not going on to me, but even like with this, for example, the podcast that we're doing, and yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard not to be on social media. But I think for you, what's really, again, great to hear is that you are a fully booked artist without the use of social media. It's just you're there having a human conversation with with somebody in the bar or at a party or just out on the street and letting people know about your music and that you're available, or here's my details, and people are booking you, and you haven't had to use any ads, any social media, any
No,
sort of communities to push you forward. It's word of mouth.
yeah. Let's say, I mean, I do use a couple of agents, which, give them their due.
Yeah,
They're the ones that find that work. But,
yeah.
I've got a good reputation with them. I never let them down. Being reliable is very important in the music business, really. You need to be able to turn up on time and, be professional, basically. And that's a big part of it. And if you
I
can
think
do that,
that's a
you'll get a lot of work.
yeah, but that's something that you don't really come across very often today. I stand by this quite strongly, Paul, that, just be on time, commit, show up with intent
I'm a
and
bit of a
purpose.
nightmare because I'll always be 15 minutes before things because I'm a bit obsessive about it, but I'll never be late for anything. I know that.
Yeah, but that's great though. That is great. This is definitely not a bad thing. It shows that you're ready for it, and that in itself will probably get you more bookings anyway. That you're just there, sort of on time. So let's go into. I mean, look, the music side of thing. It's brilliant to hear that how you've got the hunger and desire for it, and that this is sort of taken off just through your own personality. Obviously, you're good with a crowd. I can tell you're a good people person as well. You have a bit of banter. You can read a room, which is obviously important in what you do. So with Crohn's then, obviously, we touched on that not so long ago, 20, 30 times a day. Obviously, you're scoping out the sort of restrooms, toilets before you sort of hit a gig. Has there ever been a moment, like, because you're running your own business, that you felt that you couldn't do it anymore because of your autoimmune condition? Has that ever been a feeling?
I mean, I've had it since 2008, so I do know what it involves and how
Yeah.
unwell I'm going to be. Right before I got into medical cannabis and found out about all of that, and I was I have been using cannabis since I was 29, 30ish, but not medical cannabis, and not getting into the oil and things like that. But just before, so it was 2020, 2022, 2021, I was really, really sick, and I'd stopped going to the hospital because I didn't trust what they were giving me, basically, and nothing I ate, nothing I did seemed to help. I was constantly feeling unwell. Nothing would work, and that was kind of how I got into medical cannabis because I thought there's got to be some kind of answer out there, like I'm getting nothing off the NHS. I tried all kinds of different, health fads and things like that. Nothing worked, and right up to just before going out to gigs, see, I really going to the toilet just before I went out the door, going to the toilet when I got to the gig, going to the toilet in the middle. And how did it come about? Me and Abby were getting married, and we had a guy came out to do our dreadlocks, sign his call, Greg Porter, and he said that it's the first time I had met him. Abby had connected on Instagram, I think, and he said, "Oh, do you play at the Cannabis Club?" When he found out that I was a musician, I said, "No, where's that? Where's this mythical place?"
Yeah.
So it's in Teesside, which is about 40 miles from where we live. He said, "Oh, that they have live music there. They're always looking for people to play there, and they can also give you some information about medical cannabis. If it's a route you can go down." So we went, and these people booked us for a gig straight away, and I'll play there on a 2-month rotation. Straight throughout the year, I'm booked constantly, and they helped me get a medical cannabis prescription, and everything changed from there, basically. So yeah,
I think
I can't remember what the actual point was at the start of that question.
no. This is good. I like. Well, we listen. This is great though, mate. So we do go off on tangents, but I think it's sort of the fact that I was sort of saying was there a moment that you didn't think you could do your business because of Crohn's. That was sort of the question.
So yeah,
Obviously, yeah. So for you being able to find this, I guess it was sort of it like fell into place for you that you met this cannabis club. They was able to help you.
Yeah. It was fate. It was weird because I wasn't looking for it at the time.
No.
I'd heard of medical cannabis, but I really wasn't that gemmed up on it. I didn't know a great deal about it, and it all just happened at the right time.
Yeah. It sounds like that. It just sort of fell into place. It happened for a reason, sort of thing. I mean, we have to look at it here and go, well, you'd given the NHS a real good time frame. We're talking 15 years of that time. You'd done the coding, you'd done the stuff, but you got really, really ill. It was obviously having a bit of a yeah, your body was just probably rejecting it, had enough of it. So you was like, what else is out there? And then that sort of came to you at like, say, the timing was great. So just for people sort of, you know, hearing this, obviously, because as you probably know, I mean, obviously you've already noticed this with people, like say, not entertaining a conversation about, you know, medical cannabis and stuff like that. Nobody wants to sort of know about. What would you want the audience that are listening today to know about this, and how it can actually help, you know, people out there?
First, I think I would say don't believe what your doctors tell you, because I was
Okay.
told for years, oh, there's not enough research into cannabis. Well, that's a lie. There's plenty of research into cannabis, and you're just not aware of it in the the mainstream. But I mean, it's a wonderful cure or maintenance treatment for so many conditions. So many people could, change their lives. People that think that they can't get better. I mean, I'm not saying I'm cured, and I'm not going to be cured. I've had surgery twice. I have some strange kind of kink in my bowel now where everything gets stuck and it takes a while to go through the correct way. And that's never going to get better. Cannabis is not a surgeon that
No.
will fix me in that way. I can't believe I've never been to be able to believe that I'm not on any pharmaceuticals at all. The only thing that I put into my system is cannabis, and I'm able to live to be better quality of life, basically. I'm not. Don't look for the toilet the first time as soon as I go into a bar. That's not my first thing these days.
Wow.
I feel healthy and healthy. I'm not losing weight like I was. I seem to have like plateau over the past 2 years. I think more clearly. Concentrating more on my music and the actual business side of things easier. I think the public always think, oh, smoke cannabis, you're a stoner, you're a pothead, you're
Yeah, yeah.
airy fairy, heads in the clouds sort of thing. But it's not like that. And when you take medical cannabis regularly, you're not generally stoned, if you like. Just your body becomes used to it, and it's at microdoses, so you don't feel weird. You don't feel high, if you like. What you expect when you hear the word cannabis, you think, oh, getting high. But it's not. It's not like that at all, really. And it also depends on what strains you're being prescribed. Some will make you sleepy. Some will make you active.
Yeah, there is that perception, definitely. I mean, you know, if you was to sort of say to me, it's, I mean, people have it as a thing, yeah, like say, if they're highly stressed, you know, they want to chill out a little bit, they have it, or, you know,
So
maybe it's, yeah, all that kind of stuff, anxiety, yes. But for you, it's for a reason. Now, your prescription obviously is to help you. What would you say? I mean, I know you've already spoken about the brain fog, but what has it really helped you with when it comes to your Crohn's then, having this, you know, medical cannabis?
the symptoms, I mean, I'm not saying I don't get symptoms, but I can alleviate the symptoms within 10, 15 minutes
Right.
with cannabis. Cannabis is better than taking any kind of opiates. I mean, before that, if I took, say, 2 codeine before a gig, that would see me through the gig. I would be out of pain. I probably wouldn't have to go to the toilet, but then I'd probably have to take another couple of codeine when I left the gig 2 hours later. Now I can alleviate all that pain with, say, regularly take cannabis.
Yeah, I think it's for me, obviously, like hosting this and asking you questions. I mean, obviously, I'm not too clued up on like say the medical cannabis, but just hearing you sort of say that there are other options out there, like you say, again, you're just making people aware. Don't believe everything that the doctors say to
Definitely.
you. You know, obviously, go on.
I was just going to say, it's the side effects thing as well is important to me, because all of the drugs that might make you feel a little bit better or dull your pain through the NHS, the pharmaceuticals, have, yourself, hundreds of side effects.
Oh yeah,
I
oh
mean,
100%.
the only side effect really to cannabis is paranoia. But if you're a paranoid person anyway, you're going to be more paranoid on cannabis. So, swerve it. You know, nobody ever died from cannabis. Nobody. Although Abby would tell you different. One person did because a crate of cannabis fell on top of them in a factory. But nobody ever died from taking cannabis.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
remember that one. Many
Well,
people
this.
have died from every pharmaceutical that you'll be prescribed.
Yeah, they see that's good to know. That's actually really good because I agree with you. You know, I mean, I've seen it where there was a friend that was sort of on like skincare, you know, sort of medication. It was really strong stuff, and it was like the side effect was thoughts of suicide, like suicidal thoughts.
Then
And
if
I'm
you just
like,
they just put cannabis oil on whatever that skin infection was, it would be gone and there'd be no side effects. You know?
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. It's just, well, you know where the money's sort of at anyway. But yeah, every chemical action has a reaction. So, you know, for like, I mean, again, we'll go back to your story, but just if anyone's sort of like more intrigued on this sort of solution, or at least to help alleviate the symptoms, because obviously it's had a massive impact on your life, where would be somewhere that if someone is struggling through pain, and like, who would it be particularly for? Like, who would you say would be best sort of looking at it, and where could they go
What
to?
type of people are best looking at it, or
Yeah. So a bit of both. So like, you know, if someone's like sort of listening, going, "Am I the sort of person that would benefit from it?"
well, to me, every human on the planet should be taking cannabis every day, microdose. I don't care what you say,
Yeah.
it will change, you know, it'll help you in some way. I don't need to say any more on it than that. As far as I'm concerned, every human would feel better, would benefit from cannabis microdose every day. As for
Does
where,
that like CBD then? Is that what you're talking about as well, or not?
not necessarily what you're thinking of CBD. You're thinking of
Okay.
CBD on the high street, which
Right. Okay.
contains minimal CBD and really is not effective. It's just an expensive gimmick.
Yeah, I know it's quite expensive. Yeah.
Um, but I'm talking about like like oil extraction from cannabis plants and then using that as a tincture or whatever in whatever way. I've brought some stuff to show you how you take medical cannabis. So this is called a mighty, and it's a
Right.
vape. And basically, you put the cannabis in these tiny little pods here,
Yeah. Yeah. It'll show. Yeah. Yeah.
and then the pod goes into the machine, and you heat it up to 180 degrees, which is basically the temperature that THC and CBD is activated at. So there's that, or there's taking it in the oil format, which is the purest form and won't get you high at all.
Mm.
It will get you high till you get used to it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There's no kind of high off the oil at all, really. You might feel a little bit relaxed when you're first taking it. And that's normally dripped under your tongue, just a couple of drips, and it just soaks into your gums, basically, underneath your teeth. And that's the application process, anyway. As for where you get cannabis from, there's so many clinics these days. I mean, I don't know what it's like in your area. We have the adverts all the time for Curaleaf. It's a local company, so I don't know if you see the adverts for that, but they're on the TV. I know we don't have a TV, but I have seen things on TV. But I use my Medica anyway. They're probably the biggest clinic in the UK. Mamedica. They're down in London, and you have to get all of your medical records from your doctor, which is supposed to be easy. You're entitled to them; they are yours. It took me 7 months to get mine because I said I was wanting to join a cannabis clinic.
All right.
It's best not to say that, really, if you want your medical records. And yeah, you've got to have had 2 medications for your condition, and you've got to have tried 2 NHS treatments. I've had many injection treatments, infusion treatments, codeine, steroids, hundreds of things. But I mean,
Yeah.
you could have just been on like antidepressants and I don't know, Gaviscon, something like that.
Gav's
You
gone.
just
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
you just need 2 treatments basically, and then that qualifies you to become a medical cannabis patient. I would like to say that there's a lot of sort of aftercare with these places, but there's not really. You're better off doing your own research once you've joined the clinic. Their job is really just to check that you're eligible and to supply you with the prescription and all of the stuff that comes with it. But really, you need to read about this, because it's not widely available. Information about cannabis is not widely available until you start researching. So I would
And
advise to buy them.
yeah. So I'm just now curious then, because obviously, you're super passionate about it. It's really helped you. When you say you believe that everybody should be taking on a day-to-day basis, what would you say? What is the benefits of somebody taking it every day, even if they've not got, say, like a condition or a problem? Or
I mean, I don't know what the answer to that one is, to be honest. I don't know. I had a bit of a hang up on cannabis users when I was younger. I just
right.
couldn't see the fascination in it at all, and I would have never thought that it would have made me feel the way it makes me feel now. So I think everybody just needs to look and think, what is wrong with my body at the minute? Like, what issue do I have? And think, would cannabis help that in some kind of way? I mean, you're a sportsman. Many athletes use cannabis. Doesn't affect their performance whatsoever. many athletes will swear by it. So it has benefits for everybody as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think no. I mean, it's just great to hear your sort of stand on it because I think people again. I think what you're sort of advocating for is do your research. Just at least
Yeah,
have a look at it first. It
yeah,
might not be. Obviously you're strong on it, saying I believe everyone should take it because there's plenty of people out there that's had it, trialed and tested it. It does help. But what would you say? Even just from more of this is more general, I guess, sort of benefit. What would you say is the biggest one that people who sort of do regularly take, like say medicinal cannabis, feel or gain or?
I mean, I can't speak for a lot of people. For me, I have a better appetite because of it. Obviously, you've heard of the munchies. Well, that is true. It does help. It helps your appetite. But sometimes when I'm in pain or being in the toilet a lot of times, you just don't want to eat. You really should, because if you have a long period without eating and then you have a big meal, that's no good for Crohn's. So enhanced appetite, enhanced creativity, clearer head, pain free, general feeling good about myself and life.
Yeah, so obviously that's where you are now, which is brilliant, and then which is great to hear that transition, and you found something that's really working for you. What would you say? I mean, I know you've spoken about brain fog, but what else was life like for you before then, when you was just on more the pharmaceuticals? What would you now, if upon reflection, look back on and say that you felt like? What was life like?
It was always frustrating dealing with the consultants because, as I say, most of the time that I was under a consultant, I would always be asking about cannabis. Should I try cannabis? And it was always, no, we've got this new infusion out or whatever. But it's really expensive. And I used to think, well, why was spending all this money? And then it wouldn't work. They never did work. And then it got to a point where I was on this infusion from the hospital, and then I had a checkup 2 weeks later, and they said this infusion might take a few months to work on your system. And then I went in 2 weeks later for a checkup, and they said, I think we'll add in methotrexate, which I don't know if you know what methotrexate is, but it's an
I don't.
injection which is a mild form of chemo anyway. So they wanted me to take this on top of my infusion treatment, on top of codeine and prednisolone steroids, saying because I was on the flare up. And I used to just get so frustrated thinking, well, I know these things aren't working. Why are you keep prescribing them? Like when I keep telling you that there's this alternative treatment that, I've looked into it and it's helped so many people with my condition. Why can't we try that? And now I don't have any of that problem. I can sit here and say, I smoke cannabis. And that's what's helped me, like I, I don't I don't have to battle with somebody to get some kind of medicine to make me feel good every day. I have the medicine now. Now I can concentrate on my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And apart from, you do have consultations throughout the year with the clinic, but it's basically just to check that you've had no, bad experiences really, and that everything's fine and you don't need more or less or whatever. But you're generally left to your own devices. And as I say, now that I've sorted this, I'm not cured. I'm not going to say that I'm cured. But now that I've sorted that issue out with my life, then I can, deal with my business and, channel more energy into that, which is great. That's what I've always wanted to do. And I didn't want Crohn's I've never wanted Crohn's to define who I was, but it did up until a couple of years ago, really. It was like, oh, that's Paul, he's got Crohn's, he's always at the toilet. That was like how I was introduced.
So for you then, now having this, I guess, peace, knowing that you can live your life a lot smoother, and you feel great that you're not maybe potentially raising the chances of all these side effects and just frustration because talking to people that
Yeah.
probably aren't listening, even though it's not worth it. Yeah, just do it again. How has business been then in the last 2 years?
It's just went from strength to strength, really. And it wasn't something that I wasn't conscious of, like, oh, I need to take on more work or anything now, or whatever. But it just all seems to have happened, and I don't know if I just think it's because of me feeling better about myself. Obviously, I sing in bars and restaurants and wherever, and I sell my own music. But I also work for music in hospitals now.
All right.
A charity that provides music sessions to old people's homes, cancer wards,
Yeah.
cancer wards, things like that. So now I get to go and perform to people that are stuck in hospital with whatever condition, and that's really rewarding. Like I'm getting a lot back from that, and I can say, well,
Brilliant.
I'm not unwell anymore. I've got a condition. I know exactly how you feel. Let's sing some songs and have a laugh for an hour. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, that is good. That is, and it definitely struck a little bit with me when you said dementia, because my nan's got dementia, but how they bring people in, yeah, to like sing, to dance, all
It's the
that stuff.
most rewarding part of making music at the minute in my life. I've got to say, like half the time I get in the car and I'm in tears because of for somebody that's touched me, but like it's just I
You've
get
made their day though.
from that. Yeah, just for an
Yeah,
hour. I mean, you know how
easy.
if you've been in hospital for any length of time, like I have, like how long 24 hours is. So just that one little hour respite, of singing songs that they might remember from years ago. I mean, I play things like the Beatles and Everly Brothers and Buddy Holly and things like that for the old days, and I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
it. And I get a lot back from it.
Yeah, you can tell that like the work that you're doing is meaningful. Obviously business has gone from strength to strength. It wasn't intentional, but obviously I guess for you though, it's probably shown more in who you are as a person. I mean, obviously I know Abby. I mean, what would you say if she? I bet Abby has spoken to you about it before. What do you think the biggest change she's seen in you since finding medical cannabis as a person? Your
Just sort of
energy and
general peace, really. Like not
okay,
being. I mean, I'm a bit of a Victor Meldrew anyway at the best of times, but right, like when you feel unwell, and if you're
well, yeah,
in
of
pain, grumpy, you're naturally grumpy.
course, yeah,
She's not here, but I'm hoping she doesn't think that now. Like I feel a lot calmer in life. And what I was going to say before that, I think a lot of the thing about the work is that agents, although they knew I was reliable, etc., there was always that thing of, oh, he's got Crohn's, he might need another operation or whatever at any minute, because I've had 2 surgeries in the time that I've been a musician. So I
yeah,
think there was always that, we can give them stuff, maybe a couple of weeks in advance, but we don't want to book things well in advance.
right.
Now I've got stuff booked into next summer, like well ahead. And people are willing to put me in residencies and say that, so I play there every week, which is something that you wouldn't necessarily give to a Crohn sufferer that was in a bad
So
way.
what? Yeah, so what makes it sort of different then in your way then? Because obviously a lot of people would judge the book by its cover and be very much like, oh, he's not reliable or whatever. So how have you been able to navigate that?
I suppose I can safely say that I've never ever let anybody down for a gig, no matter how ill I am. I'll be at that gig.
Right.
I'll suffer for 45 minutes in silence and put a face on.
Fair
I've
play.
worked and ran bars for years from being like 18. So you get used to like just switching off and, like
Mm.
you can't portray your problems to an audience,
Yeah, yeah.
been working behind the bar. So I always think that would stood me in good stead for this career because I can just switch off when I get on the stage and it's just like, right, this is what I'm doing for this time. And then I'll go to the toilet and be in pain and roll about the floor on the break, and then come back and do it again.
Yeah.
So I'd rather do that than say I can't come to the gig tonight, like, and I'm sorry to let you down. I hate to let people down, so I just
Yeah, yeah. No, so that reliability is obviously it's
yeah.
stood massive for you, and again it's that word of mouth. Obviously, people seeing you again. I guess coming up at the same place, or they know that you're on at that time, and they're just seeing more of you. So what's next for you then, Paul, with the business side?
I mean, I'm always writing new stuff at the minute. So the last thing I wrote was for a dedication to the Cannabis Club. What we were talking about before, the Cannabis Club sorted me out to get me prescription so on, and they hooked me up with my medica basically. And the song that I wrote for them was a thank you, basically, just to say, thanks for giving me all this information. I really
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know where I'd be without you. So I dedicated that song to them. So I'm always writing other songs, and that was a project. I've done that. Me and Steve have got a couple of songs that we want to record soon. The next thing in the back of my head at the minute, which I've been thinking about a lot recently, is that I want to try and do a stand-up slot.
God.
A lot of the gigs, like a lot of the actual banter, patter, um, acting with the audience is humour with me, and I want to try and I want to give that a go and see if I can go down that one. Just to see I
Right.
can really. That's the dream at the minute. To be able to do a stand-up.
And does anybody else know about that?
I mean, I've mentioned it to Abby and I've mentioned it to Steve, but no, it's not. This is just something that is in the back of my head. Music is
Drop
so
it
good.
in at the pub
I'm
or the bars.
I am where I am in music, and I'm happy and I'm comfortable. And really, to say, apart from getting proper management and having to sell out and go on social media, etc., I can't really get much bigger. So I'm really comfortable where I am with this business. So yeah, let's move on from there. Let's try something else and keep this going, and I'll be able to promote myself through that, you know.
Yeah. So it's great as well. Like I say, I mean, just to touch on how you've built, like I say, a great business without any social media. Obviously, yeah, you say you're plugging in the agents. You've obviously met people along the way. You're now looking at an extension to the business, which I think is great. Obviously, that's a sign of a business owner in my mind when sort of like you've got one thing, but then you look at an extension piece to sort of go into something a bit different to challenge you again. It's that challenging.
Yeah, Abby thinks I should open an agency because I'm good with time management and managing people. But
Yeah.
as I say, I think I would have to be on social media to manage an agency, really.
You would, but I think for you as well, like you're going to be so behind the screen or whatever. Whereas probably like you say, you
Yeah,
probably love getting out, performing, and
I
being
mean
in
that's
front of
not me.
people.
I don't have a computer, you know.
Yeah, you'd be emailing so much, calling. Yeah,
I'm just not used to tech. It's just not in my
no,
life at all, you know. No TV, no computer, no social media. You
you're a
know,
living proof, though. You're a living proof, though. But with all the,
but when I
probably
had all
people,
those things in my life, I was unhappy, and it's
right?
only now that I realise, oh, all of those things. You know, it wasn't just those things, but I was very unhappy with all those tech in my life.
Yeah, fair play. No, I like that. I like that. So,
It's not for everybody. I don't expect everybody to go, oh, what a great idea. Let's
I
ditch
know.
social media. It's not
Yeah.
possible. I mean, Abby couldn't run their business without social media. You couldn't run
No,
yours, you know.
no. It's nice to hear that though. It is because again, you're showing that in you as a person who you are. You can have a bit. You're not like solely reliant on gadgets or tech. You're like, actually, I just want to let you know that. Look, I know it's not for everybody, but you can still do it.
I mean, I thought when I left social media, I thought that could be me finished, really. You know, like agents won't want to book me if I'm not promoting where I'm playing for them, etc. You know.
Yeah,
But
sure.
really, I mean, the bars promote me anyway. They share videos or whatever that's taken from me. The agents will just, you know, can still use all my promo material. It's just that they
Mm,
don't tag me in it. Basically, that's the only thing. I'm not something thing. But I can safely say I definitely get more bookings because I've never worked as much as what I am doing now. I get more streams. People listen to my music instead of just clicking like when I share a song. When I used to share a song on
right.
Facebook or whatever, you know, like people
Yeah.
actually listen to it. Or if I'm talking to them in a bar in the break and I'll say, would you like to check your music out? They'll get the phone out, they'll get Spotify up, and they'll follow me in front of me, you know, so I can see that
Yeah.
they're actively listening to the music.
Nah, that's good. That's when you know. That's when you know when you're striking it as
Yeah,
well. When it's going really really good. So look, mate, we're nearly towards the end of the episode. It's
go
been. I know it's man gone quick, and I do believe we've covered quite a lot of good stuff, which I know will be impactful to the audience, but also probably get them curious about which we will go into in just a second, about where they can also have access to more of this, or at least know, I guess, the go-to places. But look, this is a question I love to ask every guest. I don't know whether Abby may have like prepared you for it. I don't know. Or you've listened to some of the episodes anyway. But I'd love to hear your perspective, your sort of mindset on it, Paul. So yeah, what does mastering your life mean to you?
mastering your life. Mastering your life means taking time for yourself before anything else, really. I never used to do that, to be honest. I think I do more now. And it's important. If you're not healthy, then you can't run a healthy business. I think that sums it up, really, doesn't it? You know what we were saying before. Like, you need to work on yourself first before everything else can slot into place. And things might start happening without you even knowing about it, which is what's happening to me. You know, like things are getting better just because I'm a bit better. You know, yeah, that's what mastering the time is all about.
I like it. I like it a lot. And I think, yeah, obviously it's very aligned with sort of the message we put across on this platform is, human first, business second. And I like that, time for yourself first, healthy, if you're healthy, your business is healthy. So I do love that. Now, I know obviously you're not on social media, which is absolutely fine. But, if there was anybody that is wanting to maybe personally connect with you, is there any way that they could, reach out?
I mean, you can check my music out on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, wherever. I've got quite a common name, Paul Reed, which is actually most of the name of a guitar. There's a Paul Reed Smith on the
Okay.
guitar, and Paul Reed Smith has a band as well. So I'm not easy to find online. But the last song that I wrote for the Cannabis Club is called If You Know. And if you type in Paul Reed, if you know, in any search engine, you'll get my song
Brilliant.
and check me out from there.
And would they be able to? Is there any way they can connect with you directly, or is that through Spotify or?
Don't really know why they would want to connect with us.
Well, why not? I mean, maybe somebody might want to. Maybe they've got. I don't know, but they might do. They might be like, I want to be able to chat to this guy. Obviously, maybe they're going through a similar thing, or they might have a family friend who's going through a similar thing. It's always, I don't know. You don't have to.
Yeah,
It's
I
just.
don't really know actually. I've never really thought about that. Really, just phone me if they want us. But I suppose
Or like an email or something. Would you be happy to put that in there? Would you?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, emails fine. I can get emails.
Yeah. Yeah, just because there might be, it's like human conversation. Somebody across the pond, or somebody might, in the UK or over the world, might be going, listen, I've resonated so much with your. Obviously, they want to listen to your music,
Maybe
I'm sure, but
maybe I just think people don't want to listen to it. But I mean,
listen to you.
With somebody,
Yeah, brilliant. Well, we'll make sure that goes in there. But look, final thing from me, Paul, I'm so glad that this platform's been able to give you the opportunity to share your journey on it and raise a bit of awareness around what it can bring to people's lives. And I just want to thank you for your time.
I'm very grateful. As I say, you're the only person that has asked me to be on. So thank you, and keep up the good work. I'm enjoying listening to the other episodes.
Thank you. Yeah, no, and thank you for the courage to drop us an email as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cheers.